I actually came to check out the Mistaya River. There's a trail that runs along this, and the Mistaya River basically links the Waterfowl Lakes together, the upper and lower ones. And there's a nice little trail that runs across the river. And there's also a little bridge. This is kind of a splitting point. And this spot is kind of unique because there's Pato Lake that's only a few kilometers south of here, but all the water that's there flows down into the Waterfowl Lakes. But see, all of this water here is flowing north, and it's flowing north into the upper one, and all of the water here is actually flowing into the North Saskatchewan River, which is flowing all the way back into Abraham Lake. So if you cross Pato Lake south on that side, that's where you're gonna hit Bow Lake, which creates the Bow River, which all of that water flows south towards Banff and Calgary. So this is kind of like the dividing of the waterways north-south in the national parks. So it's kind of like the river divide within the park, if you want to play words on the continental divide, which they have a nice little bridge here that we're going to cross. And this should lead us to two sets of lakes today that we're going to check out. One is Chephren Lake, and the other one is Cirque Lake. And they're really short little hikes. We're looking at maybe from the parking lot 2 kilometers to hit the split on the trail, and then you do maybe 2 kilometers one way and then 2 kilometers back the other way to visit one lake or the other. So my guess is that we'll probably do like 10-12 kilometers, and we'll get to see this beautiful river here and a couple lakes in the back. So it'll be a good little easy trek for today after a very extensive weekend. For me, it was hiking in Lake Louise. So this portion of the trail is fairly easy. It's pretty wide. There's not a whole lot of ruts or anything into the ground to really disrupt your path. There's a series of little tiny bridges made to go over top of these little creeks. And there's also quite a few places where there's like piles of mud, but you can tell that the trail is kind of weaved around it if you didn't want to step in it, so which is totally fine. You reach the end, and then you're given a choice. You can either go south and go to Cirque Lake, or you can go north to reach Chephren Lake. So either one you pick, they're about the same distance. So it's about 2 kilometers that way, it's about 2 kilometers that way. So you're gonna go 4 clicks to come back here, and then 4 clicks to come back here. That's your 8 roughly, and then it's about 2 to come here and back. So that's about 10. That's not too bad. It's a good bargain for a 10-kilometer hike. You can check out a little campsite, a nice little stream, 2 lakes, and then 2 secluded wooden lakes all in one. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. So one thing that I did read on all trails, they're complaining about the quality of the trail. And as you can see behind me here, it's very, very rooted. This is a common thing, especially in flatter areas. It's a little bit further away from the mountains because there's not a whole lot of rock here. There's a whole lot of dirt, and these trees are dense, so there's gonna be a whole lot of roots. And you just have to watch where you're stepping. And if you can't step on the grounds, then you have to step on the roots. We're gonna go to Chephren Lake first, check that out, and we're gonna come back around, and then head to Cirque Lake. I also like this little, it looks very horror movie-like. Which way to your death? That way or this way? So halfway up to Chephren Lake, if you just veer off the path a little bit, it's really hard to miss. There's this gigantic marsh. It's like a marsh meadow. Say that 3 times fast. But it's very, very pretty. A lot of moisture down in here. It just kind of sinks in some spots where it just feels like everything you're walking on has water in it or on it. And some places where the vegetation opens up, there could be a couple inches of water. The trail just follows the marsh here, but it's more in the wooded area. So you can come out on the marsh and then just walk a little bit. It's kind of wide open. I think I'd prefer to walk on this, even though it's slower, than to walk on the trail with no view. But you got a gorgeous view. The mountain range and behind us here, and all the way to the side as well. This marsh is pretty long, actually. Keeps going for a long ways. The trail eventually crosses it because the lake that we're going to, Chephren Lake, is actually right in behind there. It's one of the cool things you can find on your way out to Chephren Lake. I'll see you guys at the lake. There's a lot of mud. This is very rooted and muddy. It's easy, but don't complain that you're gonna get your boots dirty, because you're definitely gonna get your boots dirty doing this lake, or this trail anyways. And you always have to look down because there's so many tree roots that if you stop looking down, you'll eventually just trip. So it's kind of a reminder. But as far as elevation goes, super easy. But what I was saying before is that normally when you get to a lake, you can kind of see it far away, or at least, you know, within a certain distance, you can have a good look of the lake before you even get there. But this lake, oh, I'm just barely seeing it through the trees now. If this was any closer to a road, it'd be as busy as Lake Louise, is my guess. Crazy. This will be a great place to have a lunch. Check this out, folks. Chephren Lake. It's kind of small. It's nice and quaint. And you get a nice view of the mountains in front here. Time to have lunch and turn around and go check out the other lakes. Peace. So that was a fun little afternoon hike all the way to Chephren Lake and back. I think I discovered a slight trick here for this terrain, which is difficult to walk on. You have to adjust your stride length. Your stride length has to change constantly, so always try to step on the dirt. And I know that it looks kind of difficult to do, but you might have to do 5 small steps in a row, and then make 3 big steps in a row, and then 2 small steps in a row, and then so on and so forth, until you get to the point where you can constantly walk on the dirt. And the problem here is that where there's a lot of dirt, it also means that there's a lot of mud, which I don't really care about getting my boots wet, but sometimes you'll put your weight on there and then you kind of slip and slide. So then it's actually slower to walk around. So all that trek back, and now we're back to square one. Back to square one again. With the sign, Chephren Lake. Now we're going to Cirque Lake, and then see what it looks down there. See you guys over there. We're about 1.5 kilometers away, and this is a pleasant surprise because you get this nice little creek, obviously coming from Cirque Lake. Look at that. And it's surrounded by the thickest moss you've ever seen in your life. I could have a nap in this, I'm sure. Awesome little change of pace, a change of scenery. And this is also the spot where you can tell you're getting closer to the lake. So I'll flip this around so you guys can see the view that I'm getting for the rest of this little bit up the creek. Once you reach this little stream, there's 2 or 3 good spots to stop and take pictures and such. But it seems like it never ends. Can't really complain. I have this nice little creek here that I'm walking beside. You got quite the view. The only thing you have to keep in mind, especially when traveling alone, is if you're beside a creek, it makes a lot of noise. Especially waterfalls drown out noises as well. So you have to be a little bit more vigilant as to making a lot more noise so that the animals can hear you coming. Oh! That's my go-to move. I usually throw one of those out every 30 seconds to a minute. The only bears I've seen were on the road when I was driving home or driving to a location. Never actually seen one on the trail, but I make a lot of noise when I'm out and about, so that probably helps as well. Huh. I love what I do on the weekends. I can't even pretend that I don't. So this is the gorgeous little Cirque Creek. The lake is obviously right down there, and you can see a gigantic glacier on top and another glacier at the bottom, which all of those glaciers are obviously feeding water to Cirque Lake, and all of this water right here. Gorgeous, eh? Let's see if we can get closer and get a better shot of this. And I think I found something prettier than Chevron Lake, which is crazy. And also, I'm looking at a series of screes here that lead up to multiple glaciers and another path that leads all the way further back, which might be something to do next year, to come back here to see exactly where that goes. Now that I have an eye on it, I'm definitely going to come back to see where that goes, because there's a path that goes even further down this canyon here. But as you can see behind me, this is the great little Cirque Creek that starts down here with the gorgeous little yellow and green vegetation just sticking out there. It's kind of like a little marshy thing. And then behind me on the other side, we have a gorgeous turquoise water of Cirque Lake with a huge mountain passing behind us and multiple glaciers stuck on the side of this mountain to give us an incredible view. Incredible view. Now, all we gotta do is head back to the old Jeep and try not to get wet along the way and enjoy the scenery while we can. I laid down on a big rock and drank a Pepsi and just enjoyed the view. And this is Cirque Lake. This is Banff National Park, the end of September 2021. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys ever get the chance, this is definitely worth the hike and the hassle of dealing with all the roots and the stubs and the mud to get up here. But yeah, peace out everybody.